7 Nightly News.
Tonight, an unseasonable cold snap brings heavy rain and flooding.
Thrills and spills from a spectacular firebombing display.
And a legend bows out of Test cricket.
Good evening. Also tonight, a $5 million clean-up for an Adelaide black spot.
But first, if you thought it felt like winter today, you were right. It was one of the coldest January days in 10 years and also one of the wettest. And forecasters say tomorrow will be worse just when the Adelaide Test is due to start.
A taste of winter in the middle of summer. The rain was heaviest at around 9 o'clock this morning. The worst hit spots were the hills and Unley. There was minor flooding at Highgate Primary School. Most of the problems were caused by blocked drains. The highest recorded rainfall was 19 millimetres, and for most of the day, the temperature sat at around 17 degrees, making it the coldest January day in the last 10 years or so.
It's not only going to continue, but tomorrow, Thursday, might well be worse than today, in as much as today we've just had one really reasonably heavy period of showers, whereas tomorrow we're expecting it to be cold again, windy, and for the showers to be more frequent.
The rain caused problems for our cricketers getting ready for tomorrow's Test match. This morning's practice session had to be cancelled. Luckily, the covers were put on the pitch last night.
Well, I was going to water today anyway, so the good Lord has done it for me. So, and the quality of that rain compared to what I irrigate with is so much better.
Trisha Karp, 7 Nightly News.
And tomorrow's third test at the Adelaide Oval will be David Boone's last match for Australia. Admired around the world for his gritty determination, the 35-year-old stalwart has announced his retirement from international cricket, ending a 12-year career.
I've officially announced my retirement from international cricket, and this test match in Adelaide will be my last one.
And that was it. No fuss, no bother, just like the way he plays.
There it is, 100 for David Boone.
At 35, Boone's jumped before being pushed. Dropped from the Aussie one-day team and not considered for the World Cup, he knew his innings were numbered.
I suppose there's a lot of things contributed. There's not playing in the one-day team. I think the two games, Test cricket and one-day cricket, both go hand in hand now. And it's very difficult to become designated either a one-day cricketer or just a Test cricketer.
For the best part of his 12-year international career, Boone has been the backbone of the Australian team. He scored 21 Test centuries and is second only to Alan Border on the Aussie all-time run list, and without trying, became a cult figure.
Here's one for you. Who's this? Here you go. Hang on. It's Booney. Booney, got it, yeah.
I suppose highlights would be the 87 World Cup, the 89 and 93 Tours of England. I thought it was a great series victory in the West Indies.
Now Boone's walked, 2 questions remain. Firstly, who will bat at 3?
Ricky Ponting, though, I'd have to put him at the head of the list.
And secondly, who will lead the singing in the change rooms?
It's a secret, mate. You'll have to wait till next week to find that out.
Boone says he'll play for Tasmania for at least another 2 years. Paul Childs, 7 Nightly News.
One of Adelaide's most dangerous pollution black spots is to get a $5 million clean-up fully funded by the federal government. Asbestos and heavy metals dumped at the Islington railway workshops will be buried on site. There's also a $21 million maintenance contract with National Rail to keep the workshops open.
There's a federal election in the air. Federal Transport Minister Laurie Brereton briefing community leaders on how the Commonwealth, following the advice of CSIRO, will bury 120,000 cubic metres of industrial waste, including asbestos, copper, lead and mercury, on the Islington site. It's the safest solution, according to Brereton, and the rehabilitated land will be handed over to the state government.
If South Australia decides to develop it and sell it off, we'll want them to refund us the $5 million we're putting forward to clean up their pollution problem.
You can assume that there's a federal election very close at hand when the Minister comes out with a solution to something that residents, unionists, workers and I have been working hard on.
We're really pleased, we're delighted with the solution that they've now offered.
For the 400 workers at Islington, today's announcement of a $21 million contract to maintain National Rail wagons will guarantee their jobs for another 12 months.
Were Australian National not to have a continuation of the contracts from National Rail, there would have been quite a marked reduction in the size of the workforce.
Islington will get $100,000 to help employees achieve improved work practices over the next year. Chris Warren, 7 Nightly News.
Angry meat workers took to the steps of Parliament House today, claiming Samcor is giving them short shrift. They say they're being kept in the dark about the proposed sale of the corporation and have no idea if their jobs are safe.
Samcor was put up for tender late last year and the workers were told there would only be a few redundancies. Since then, they've had no news of the future of the meatworks and claim all pleas for information have fallen on deaf ears.
We're being treated like second-class citizens and we're being discriminated against.
More than half of the 400 employees took to the steps of Parliament House to let the government know exactly how they feel.
The protesters are accusing the state government of shortchanging Samcor staff by not telling them if the corporation will be sold, when and to whom.
Nobody knows, nobody's saying anything of what's going to happen with Samcor. They want to sell Samcor and sell our expertise.
The protesters say if they're made redundant, they want the same separation packages available to other public servants, but fear this won't be the case. Treasurer Stephen Baker says redundancies for the meat workers aren't an option if jobs are available, but if they occur, they'll be subject to Meat Industry Award conditions. Liz Kefford, 7 Nightly News.
Hardly the weather for bushfires today, but the Super Scooper firefighting plane from Canada still managed to put on a spectacular display at Glenelg. Canadair is hoping to convince state and federal governments to trial the aircraft and eventually buy an entire fleet.
By skimming along the surface of the sea or reservoirs, the Super Scooper can suck up 6,000 litres of water in 10 seconds. It can then fly to a fire at 375 kilometres an hour and drop its load. It can keep doing this for 4 hours without refuelling. Spectators at Glenelg watched in amazement at the Super Scooper's acrobatic feats. Canadair says it's perfect for fighting South Australian bushfires.
Absolutely. There's lots of water. We can scoop in the open sea, we could scoop at West Lakes, we could scoop in the harbour, and up at Mount Bowl or the South Barrow Reservoir.
Because it can land on water and carry up to 22 passengers, the aircraft can be used for search and rescue missions, medivacs and coastal patrols. Canadair wants to sell Australia 10, but with a price tag of $27 million each, what's the chance we'll get one?
It's certainly possible, but South Australia, the Premier and the Minister for Emergency Services have both said that they recognise the worth of the aircraft, but they would need to have some cost-sharing arrangements, particularly with the Commonwealth or another state, to share the aircraft.
The Super Scooper will be working with the CFS during its 4-day stay in Adelaide to extinguish any fires that arise. Peter Caldecott, 7 Nightly News.
The controversial chairman of the TAB is resigning 6 weeks before he's due to leave the job. Bill Cousins will quit in a week's time. He says it's to allow his successor to help pick the TAB's new general manager. Mr Cousins recently fell out with the state government over the introduction of the racing guide tab form. But he says the TAB is currently operating ahead of budget.
If your family pet doubles as a guard dog and if you keep a cricket bat under the bed in case of burglars, there's a new product in home protection that might well attract you. It's insurance against crippling legal costs and it's just been launched around Australia by an Adelaide broker.
22,000 homes were burgled in SA in 1993-94 and sometimes the housebreaker is killed or injured by the homeowner. Sometimes prowlers or trespassers are attacked by guard dogs or by the family pet. For the homeowner, the legal costs involved in defending yourself in court, both from civil and criminal action, can be ruinous. But now Adelaide insurance broker Rob Lowe has launched a legal expenses policy designed specifically for homeowners who defend themselves.
If the police or a government agency decides to prosecute you and you believe that you should defend your rights in court, you have a vehicle whereby you don't have to mortgage your home to defend yourself.
The policy has already been welcomed by the Canine Association and firearms and shooting groups.
They're very much interested in the fact that for $20,000 cover and $19 a year, they have some form of redress to protect themselves in case they have to defend themselves in court.
As with any insurance policy, there are a few exclusions. It won't cover you for anything to do with family law, and it won't cover you if you commit a criminal act. The policy also covers firearms owners against unreasonable police prosecution and seizure. Graham Hunter, 7 Nightly News.
In a moment, outrage in Britain over a child bride and in the US over a pregnant 10-year-old.
And back home for the holidays, the Kidman Cruise combination. The marriage of a 13-year-old English schoolgirl and a Turkish man has sparked outrage across Britain. The groom is facing rape and abduction charges after being arrested, but the girl's parents have given the wedding their blessing.
This was the wedding that set bells ringing in 2 countries. Sarah Cook, 13, marries an 18-year-old waiter she met on holiday in Turkey. The problem is it's illegal and void under British and Turkish law. Today the newlyweds were arrested. After questioning by police, Sarah was taken to a hospital for a medical examination.
Yeah, I'm okay. It's just I'm fed up with all these people walking around
And is the marriage going to be okay? Is the marriage going to stay together?
Yeah, it is.
Her so-called husband now faces charges of rape and abduction. Britain has been treated to every detail of how Sarah went from schoolgirl to child bride. And it's not as if this 13-year-old ran away. What's really raised eyebrows here is that this wedding took place with the blessing of Sarah's parents. For a fee of $45,000, Adrian and Jackie Cook will justify their decision.
Do you not see it as illegal in your own morals that your child was 12, 13 years of age and involved in sex? Maybe she'll be pregnant.
Well, she wasn't involved in sex at 12 years old.
13?
Well, she's married now.
That makes it okay?
She's married now, so she's his wife.
The Cooks have since been called upon to explain themselves to Britain's social services. In London, Tim Stott, 7 Nightly News.
Meanwhile, police in America are looking for a pregnant 10-year-old who may have run away to Mexico with her boyfriend. Cindy Garcia is 8.5 months pregnant and should be in the care of doctors.
It just doesn't look like it's a good home environment. Her mother thinks it's okay with her to be with a 22-year-old guy now.
She became pregnant at 9 while still at school. Her boyfriend has been charged with aggravated sexual assault and faces a life sentence if convicted.
A new blow for Princess Di, with 2 more of her staff members quitting their jobs. Secretary Nikki Cockle and long-time chauffeur Steve Davies are the latest to hand in their notice. They follow Private Secretary Patrick Jeffson, who resigned yesterday, and Media Advisor Geoffrey Crawford, who quit last year. The latest rift in the Royal Office is being linked to allegations Diana spread malicious rumours about Prince Charles and his assistant Tiggy Leg Burke. An agonising decision for the parents of Mexican-born Siamese twins. They have to decide whether to have the babies separated, possibly condemning one or both to death. They were taken to San Diego, where doctors say there is hope, but no guarantee.
All we can say at this time is that the hearts are separate, and that is very encouraging in the big picture.
The week-old babies are joined at the chest. And an amazing discovery in New York. A marble statue of Cupid on display but mostly ignored for decades is now believed to be a Michelangelo. The priceless piece was discovered during a tour of a mansion owned by the French government.
And of course the head, the face, is a typical Michelangelo face.
The metre-high statue dates back 500 years.
Hollywood's hottest actress is back home in Sydney tonight. Nicole Kidman jetting in with Tom and the kids. But Nicole isn't here to crow about her Golden Globe award. She says the family just needs a break.
Winning Best Actress at the Golden Globes put Nicole Kidman on top of the world, but she wasted no time heading down under. A private jet brought the 28-year-old Aussie star and husband Tom Cruise into Sydney early today. Their adopted children, Isabella and Connor, were exhausted after the long flight, and Nicole wasn't eager to chat.
See you later, guys. How did you feel about the Golden Globe? Oh, really excited. It was really nice. Huh? You think you'll get an Academy? I have no idea. I'm just here now to have a holiday. See you later.
The celebrity couple slipped into a waiting car, but the getaway wasn't quite as quick as they may have hoped. The Sydney-born actress has a lot to celebrate with her family over the next 2 weeks. Batman Forever broke Australian box office records last year, and Nicole's latest film, To Die For, is tipped to win her an Academy Award. Nancy Farley, 7 Nightly News.
Now here's Bruce with sport, and the tennis just keeps getting better.
Well, Narelle, a full day of quarterfinals with some of the best matches you could hope to see. We'll have highlights after the break. And as Australia gears up for tomorrow's test, the weather forces a change in plans. Good evening. Andre Agassi has staged yet another remarkable comeback to grab a semi-final berth at the Australian Open. After his match resumed late this afternoon, Agassi dropped the first 2 sets before storming home 6-2 in the deciding 5th set. Earlier, Amanda Kurtzer ended Martina Hingis's dream run, and Anka Huber came from behind to beat second seed Conchita Martinez.
The showdown between Andre Agassi and Jim Courier resumed 18 hours after it began, with Courier 5-4 up. It was expected to be another epic, and Courier force-fed Agassi some of his own medicine. Courier didn't rely wholly on power ground strokes. He mixed up his tactics to take the first set in a tiebreaker. Agassi appeared defenceless to halt the Courier onslaught, and it led to several uncharacteristic unforced errors. Courier broke twice in the second set, winning it 6-2. Agassi has never come back from the rare position of being 2 sets down, but he performed an unlikely resurrection. The reigning Open champ took the 4th set, and with Courier playing his 3rd 5-setter in a row, Agassi raced to a 4-love lead, winning the final set 6-2.
He's the world #1 again, Agassi. What a comeback.
First up on centre court was a baseline battle between Martina Hingis and Amanda Kurtzer. Hingis came back from love 4 to lead 5-4, but dropped serve and was warned for racket abuse before losing the first set. The 15-year-old won the second, but too many unforced errors in the deciding set gave Kurtzer a place in her first Grand Slam semi-finals. She'll play Anke Huber, who won a rain-interrupted quarter-final against Conchita Martinez. The #2 seed won the first set, but became defensive. And after injuring her racket hand, the '94 Wimbledon champ lost the next 2 sets 6-2, 6-1. David Loudon, 7 Nightly News.
Meanwhile, Chanda Rubin and Arantxa Sanchez Vicario have put last night's classic 3.5-hour quarter-final behind them. The best of enemies got together today in preparation for their next doubles match.
This was the sight that had tennis fans stopping for a second look. Chanda Rubin and Arantxa Sanchez Vicario playing side by side less than half a day after the toughest women's match in the history of the Open. Their 3rd set decider was a classic, drawing the biggest television audience in over 10 years. In Melbourne alone, 864,000 people were held spellbound. Neither player could get the edge. Over 2 hours into the 3rd set, it was 14 games all. Amazingly, Arantxa won 164 points to her opponent's 163.
Discover it all.
And come out ahead, so it's definitely one of the most memorable up to date.
Just a matter of hours after their centre-court marathon, both girls were back on court, but this time on the same side of the net.
We're both able to and concentrate on the match at hand.
But it wasn't last night. Sanchez Vicario appearing to receive illegal coaching from the stands, but she denies it.
You are the one who has to play, and you are the one who has to do everything. So they can give you all the support they can, but you are the one who has to finish and win.
I don't think it's right, but I mean, it doesn't bother me.
The duo meets Gigi Fernandez and Natasha Zareva in the doubles quarterfinals. Mark Beretta, 7 Nightly News.
And we apologise for the problems with the video there. Australia's cricketers are hoping the 3rd test starting here tomorrow passes without incident. Despite the series being decided, it looks like being a memorable one for so many reasons. Channel 7's Ian Healy has more.
After our win in the World Series, you'd reckon I might have earned a bit of a rest. But look what Helen has waiting for me at home this week in Brisbane. No rest for the wicked though. And although it's been a worrying week, finally we can settle down to preparing for tomorrow's final test against Sri Lanka here in Adelaide, even though the weather today has restricted us to gym sessions. Of course it will be a special one for us, as David Boone announced last night to a stunned team meeting that this would be his last. Well, Booney, you're stuck on 99 test catches. I suppose I've got to leave the high balls to you.
No, you still take them, mate. Just throw one away. Give it to me. But, hopefully I'll get that catch during this test.
And after 12 years at this level in the game, it must have taken a long time to decide.
Yeah, it hasn't been an easy decision. I've been thinking about it for quite some time, but I've grown to be content with it, and that's very important. And I'm just looking forward to the test match and hopefully another Australian win.
Although we've already clinched the series against Sri Lanka, there's still a bit of bad blood between the two sides. I'm sure both sides can forget the regrettable incidents in Saturday's World Series final and set up a fantastic test match here in Adelaide.
I think it's important that we mend any bridges that were burnt the other day in Sydney. We've got to get that right. I think it was a one-off situation. Tempers might have got a little bit out of control. I think we can mend it over the next 5 days.
I think there's nothing to worry about. They have been in Colombo for several years. They have been playing a lot of cricket in Colombo and they never had any problems. and they will get the same treatment they got last couple of years.
Now that we're definitely going to the World Cup, we're determined not to let anything distract us from our big challenge in becoming the world's #1 team. Catch you later.
And still on cricket, Brian Lara has been included in the West Indies 14-man World Cup squad. It's good to see him back. And don't forget the tennis again tonight with Mark Woodford looking for a semi-berth. And if it's half as good as last night, it'll be worth watching. That's our sport. Now, here's John.
Thanks, Bruce. And after the break, more on our unseasonable weather.
And for tonight's report, we'll cross live to Montefiore Hill.
Well, hello. As you've already seen, today is one of the coldest and wettest Januaries in 10 years, and it's going to be worse for tomorrow's cricket. Today's maximum reached 18.5 at 2 o'clock this afternoon, after a low of 14.7 at 9 a.m. this morning, and currently it's 17 degrees in the city. Well, on tonight's satellite photo, you can see the cold front that's just moved over our state. It's now moving over Tasmania and is still producing very cold and wet conditions. The low pressure system just southwest of Mount Gambier is directing a cool to cold southwesterly airstream over our state. Tomorrow it will result in more showers, chiefly over the southern settled areas, and a strong to gale force winds near the coast. The showers should ease a little on Friday as that high moves further over towards our state. Then they should contract to the southern coast and clear by Sunday. Interstate tomorrow's storms forecast for Cairns, Perth and Darwin. Showers right down the eastern seaboard but fine elsewhere. In our state, we had a cold and wet day today. The highest rainfall reported was actually 7 millimetres in Adelaide. Temperatures range from 38 degrees at Moomba down to a chilly 14 at Mount Crawford. Tomorrow will be a cool day with widespread showers and strong southwesterly winds. There is a gale force wind warning current for the south central and southeast coast and a strong wind warning for the Gulf waters. On our local waters, southwesterly winds of 20 to 30 knots and seas around 2.5 metres. Tomorrow's top will only be 18 degrees after an overnight low of 11. Looking ahead, Friday showers and 21, Saturday becoming fine with 22 and Sunday fine and 25. Well, that's all from me. I'm going to warm up now. Now it's back to the studio.
Thanks, Cherylee. And Today Tonight is coming up in just a moment, and Home and Away will follow at 7:30.
And then at 8 o'clock, we'll take you back to the fabulous tennis. Now here's Lee.
Good night.